someone asked you what type of camera is the best for street photography, what would be your answer? In the early 2000s, when digital street photography was only for hipsters, your answer would probably be some kind of stylish rangefinder, and if you had an extra kidney to sell, maybe even Leica. I mean, Leica M. This all changed when Ricoh introduced its GR digital series in 2005 and later the Ricoh GR in 2013. Fast forward to 2019 and the new GR3 took the street photography community by storm. And by that I mean a lot of YouTube channels made videos about it. So what is so magical about this 28mm fixed lens APS-C camera created by the company whose biggest success in photography world so far was acquiring Pentax in 2011? Well, when you ask photography experts on Facebook, you might get mixed reactions. As you can see, this camera is definitely not for everyone, and just like you wouldn't use a chainsaw to slice your bread, it doesn't mean it is a useless tool. The Ricoh GR III is by no means a one-trick pony to do it all. That's what your iPhone is. The Ricoh GR III is a highly specialized tool that will not tick a lot of boxes. You can think about it like a particle type of knife in the kitchen that you use occasionally. It's only useful for one or two specific tasks, but for those things, it delivers in spades. As already mentioned, the lens is f2.8 28mm equivalent, which is really the only focal length you will get from this camera without cropping. That means you will have to use your legs to zoom in or out. Now, I know it is technically not zooming since you are changing the perspective, but you know what I mean. The autofocus is something that would definitely deserve more love since it feels a little slow from time to time, but what the GR3 lacks in autofocus, it's supposed to make up for with the snap focus, which is essentially zone focusing that can be set to a distance more or less to your liking. For me personally, this works in 100% of cases and helps me to create beautiful abstract autofocus images, as my skill for guessing the distance is pretty low. But there are some features I do know how to use and I actually like. Highlight weighted metering is one of them. What it lets you do is to expose exactly for the highlights instead of that middle of the road-ish exposure you would normally get, which often results in the dark areas being completely blacked out, which I like a lot. My second most common used feature is the touchscreen shutter release. Now, this might be a very widespread function among cameras, but since my Leica M does not have a touchscreen, it is new for me. And apparently this is also new for a lot of Ricoh GR users, as this function is only available in the latest firmware version. So if you have for some reason not updated yet, you should really go for it. Fortunately, you don't have to worry about accidentally activating the touchscreen with your nose when using the viewfinder because this camera doesn't have one. And for those photography snobs saying the viewfinder is the only good option to compose the picture, I will tell you this, it is not. Now, on a little more serious note, I have been saying for a while that the LCD screen is a new viewfinder since you can easily see what is included or left out of your frame, unlike when using EVF with the frame blocking your outside view. One of the online complaints I see a lot is that it's a camera that is expensive and only features f2.8 lens, which for me doesn't matter that much. I dare to say the majority of users are going to use this camera for one and one specific purpose only, which is street photography. Ricoh even makes a special street photography edition of this camera, which ironically is less stealth with this big yellow circle around the lens. Anyway, because of that, the most common f-stop is probably going to be f8. However, the one case where this camera could use a faster lens is in night photography. Otherwise, I do not really have a problem with the lens. Yet, there is still so much to love about this camera. Easy to set custom modes, weight, and especially the size. I mean, try to fit an interchangeable lens camera in your pocket. This camera slips into your pocket and I usually take it with me just with the wrist strap. I also do not carry any extra batteries, but I'm not a heavy shooter. I never run out of batteries during my shooting sessions, so I cannot honestly tell you how many shots you will be able to take with just one battery. But I would much rather bring a USB-C cable with me to charge the battery while having a coffee than carry an extra battery. Also, this camera is super light. Unlike with big DSLRs, which can make you feel like you are practicing for this brick around your neck carrying competition, you will not even notice the light GR. Don't get me wrong, I love bigger cameras and understand their place. There's probably no way you could show up on a commercial photo shoot with a camera this small or have this as your only camera as, for example, a portrait photographer. All I'm saying is that this camera fills a very specific gap on the market. However, if you find yourself in this narrow niche, I'm convinced this camera will not disappoint you. If you like these videos, please consider subscribing and sharing with your friends. It really helps with making more videos like this one. Thank you for watching, and I will see you next time.